Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today I wanted to go ahead and talk about budgeting because when it comes to figure collecting, this is a rather expensive hobby. Knowing how to budget is a very essential skill in life, whether or not we're talking figure collecting or not, but when you have an expensive hobby, it's very important to make sure that your financial situation stays on track, especially considering that something like figure collecting can become a little bit compulsive at times if it comes down to trying to finish sets and things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give you some budgeting tips when it comes to figure collecting. And while I'll specifically be focusing on these tips in regards to figure collecting, they can absolutely be used as budgeting tips in general to help you save up for whatever it is that you want to buy. The first thing you're going to want to do is figure out what your 5-year plan is. It might sound a little bit cliche, but it's a good thing to have at least somewhat of an idea of what your goals are within the next 5 years. And I'm not talking about figure collecting. I'm talking about goals outside of your hobby. Do you want to move out of your parents? Do you want to buy a car? Do you have renovations on your house that you know are going to need to be done, and thus you should start saving for them now? These are things in life that are going to come up, and they're things that you can somewhat control. If you know you want a kid in the next year, maybe you want to buy a few less anime figures and start saving up for those diaper costs. Obviously, things don't always go according to plan, and your 5-year plan can shift and change. But as where it is right now, write down your big goals, the ones that will cost you a fair amount of money, and just keep that in mind. That is more important than pretty pieces of plastic, and more important for you to save your money for. Now that you have that out of the way, you might have somewhat of an idea of how many figures you are looking to collect, whether that be taking a break completely from figure collecting for a while, which, fun fact, is something that I actually did. I stopped figure collecting for a good 4 to 5 years, specifically to make sure that I could move out of my parents, buy a house, and have some kiddos. Never feel bad about taking a break. It's something that everyone has to do from time to time because there are many more important things in life other than, again, collecting pretty pieces of weed plastic. So now let's get into the two main budgeting options that you have available to you. You have the buy in bulk option. This is when you save up a bunch of money and then buy a good amount of stuff all at once. There's reasons for that, and I'll get into why I usually choose to do this instead of the other option, but a hybrid of both is probably more realistic, so I want to make sure I cover both, and we're going to start with the more complicated one first. And that is to have a monthly budget as to what you're willing to spend. Now that amount of money is going to change from person to person, obviously, depending on your income and your expenses. This means that you take your monthly income, you pay all your expenses, and then with what's left, this being your fun money, you take 75% of that and put it into savings. You always want to have some sort of savings in case something unexpected happens. That savings won't necessarily be always growing. You may dip into it from time to time. Say you have a vet bill or some other expense that you weren't expecting, but this way you're never in debt. You have that nice little cushion, and yes, 75% of your fun money should go there, which means that the other 25% is your budget to do with what you please. That would be buying anime figures, that would be, going out and experiencing other things. I personally find the 75-25 split to be more than enough, and I'm not making bank by any means. So as an example, and these numbers, depending on where you live, even for where I live, are completely unrealistic. Let's just get that out of the way real quick. But this will not only help me because I'm not great with math, I think it's also easier to visualize with simple numbers. So let's say that your monthly income is $1,400. And then you go ahead and subtract $1,000 as your expenses. Gas money, food money, mortgage, things like that, right? Now you have $400. These $400 are, as I said, your fun money. You take 75% of that, which would be $300, put that in the bank as a savings, as a cushion. Now you have $100 to spend on anime figures or other things of your choice. Now that might not seem like a lot, and that's where the next tip when it comes to budgeting comes in. And that would be to not buy things every month. If you want a figure that's more expensive, especially if you're pre-ordering and you have an idea of how much something's going to cost, then don't buy something one month. Take that $100 and wait for the next month. That way now you have $200 to spend on an anime figure. And always keep in mind that that includes the shipping. Make sure you're including the shipping when you're doing your budgeting, so that way you're not all of a sudden blindsided and like, wait a second, I went over my budget. Yep, you did. Some people will go over budget or will look at their credit card and say, well, I can technically, I have a higher limit than what I've been doing. I could get that. I implore you not to take the risk and to make sure you actually have the money in the bank in order to buy it, even if you are using a credit card. Just because it's a very dangerous game and a very dangerous habit to get into, because maybe you do that once and you think, oh, I'm just gonna do this once, and then, you know, next month you're in a similar situation. Well, now you know you have the option, you could do it again. It's just more about being more aware of how much you're spending, when you're spending it, and making sure that instead of just being impulsive, you know, FOMO-ish purchases, that you're actually doing your research, you make sure you have the funds available, and that this is a thought out decision, a thought out purchase, especially because, again, figure collecting, especially if you're collecting a lot of figures, or depending on what type of figures you're collecting, especially if you're collecting like resins, for instance, these are very expensive purchases, and you want to make sure that this is not an impulsive sort of hobby at all. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and focus on the second option you have when it comes to figure collecting and budgeting. This would be the buying in bulk option. Basically what you do in this situation is the same thing as the monthly budgeting, except instead of spending, for our example, that $100, you save it, and then the next month you save it, and now at the end of the year you now have $1,200 to spend on things. Now this number generally tends to be a little bit more because you also have to factor in like holidays and birthdays and anything else where you're being gifted money. The main reason I prefer this method is because it gives you a lot of time to research. You're not impulsively pre-ordering things and stuff like that, but you also can strategically buy when the yen is down. So it makes more sense to save up my budget for figure collecting and then buy all at once when the yen is down, since I'll be getting more for my dollar. I really felt like I wanted to make this video because a lot of people talk about budgets and they're like, oh, this isn't in the budget or stuff like that, but not too many people actually explain how they come up with their budget. And again, this is just what I do. It's what I personally think works best. And as a mother with, again, a house and cars and things like that, things that are very important to pay, you know, other things that need to be done. You know, I had recently had to take a break last year in order to buy a lawnmower. I'm gonna have to take a break this year in order to buy a pellet stove to heat the house. There are things that come up in life that are, again, much more important than your hobbies, and it's very important to make sure you have your financial situation under wraps, so that way you don't have to worry whenever something unexpected comes up. And on that note, never go into debt. Not only will it result in financial stress and other stressors in your life due to financial stress, you will also grow to resent your collection, as it's what essentially has become your addiction that has totally ruined you financially. You don't want to be there. It has happened to people. There are people who go into debt over these things, and I implore you to not be one of those people. As I said, this hobby can become very compulsive at times, and for some people it absolutely can become an addiction, and maybe I'll make a video on that in the future. But make sure that if you need help, you reach out to the people you need help with. Take time to sit down, reevaluate, and work out exactly how much you can spend. I hope this video is helpful, and if you like this video and you made it this far, I assume you at least somewhat like me. If you could go ahead and leave me a like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing other figure collecting videos in the future. I mostly am collecting girls and pens right now. However, I also collect whatever I feel like. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Likewise, every now and then I do make videos like this where I give different tips as well as do some DIYs that are, you know, rather weeby, we'll say. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you all next time. Bye.